This is Ghayoor Ahmed, and I am going to present you the topic interrupt and interrupt handling along with my group member Fajar Haroon. First of all, let's discuss what is actually an interrupt. So by the definition, it says that an interrupt is a signal sent by hardware or software to the processor for the processing as to stop or cause something to stop for a period of time.
Alright, here we take a moment to talk about interrupt cycle, like how it works and how actually it is generated. Firstly, the status of flip-flop of processor is checked. If it's 0, so there is no interrupt and CPU can continue its ongoing task. But when the status of flip-flop has been read 1, it denotes that the ongoing process should halt because an interrupt has occurred.
Next to the types of interrupt. So basically, interrupts have two types, hardware interrupt and software interrupt. So the hardware interrupt occurs by the interrupt requests signal from peripheral circuits. On the other hand, the software interrupt occurs by executing a dedicated instructions.
We have talked about the interrupts and how it occurs. Now let's talk about how it could be handled. So the job of the interrupt handler is to service the device and stop it from interrupting. The CPU saves the state of ongoing process and shifts its attention to the interrupt generated by giving access to the interrupt handler. This entire process is called interrupt handling. Now looking forward to where interrupt handlers are stored. They are stored in memory, and in a full multitasking operating system, it's in the kernel.
At last, let's discuss the interrupt stages and its processing by a simple block diagram. So, the cycle consists of fetch, execute and interrupt stages. If any interrupt occurs, it is indicated by interrupt flag. The CPU will go to interrupt handler routine. Interrupt handler then checks the type of interrupt and executes the appropriate function. After that, interrupt handler activates most prior able activity first and later any other.
Why interrupts are needed? Interrupts are commonly used by hardware devices to indicate electronic or physical state changes that require time-sensitive attention. Interrupts are commonly used to implement computer multitasking, especially in real-time computing. External devices are comparatively slower than CPU, so if there is no interrupt, CPU would waste a lot of time waiting for external devices to match its speed with that of CPU. This decreases the efficiency of CPU, hence interrupt is required to eliminate these limitations. I hope we have made the topic clear. Thank you for listening.